Joe Biden, in his final act as a failed president, has decided to issue some preemptive pardons for Fauci, Anthony Fauci, Mark Milley, the terrible general that we had for a while there, and all the January 6th committee. Now, this is something where, obviously, he's a lame duck president. This is his last act in office. By the time you're seeing this, Donald Trump will have already been inaugurated as the 47th president of the United States. But I think it's important that we go over, first off, just what Biden did, how he screwed the American people, and how he screwed Donald Trump. Because these people have not yet even been accused of anything, right? Because, they were working for Biden. They were working for the Biden administration, right? And so he's decided that it's a good idea anyway to go ahead and pardon them, just in case, just because, they might be prosecuted, they might be investigated, and we got to get ahead of that, right? We can't have their reputation screwed. We can't have them have any sort of financial repercussions for being investigated, for being persecuted, right? No, that's all wrong. Not to mention, the same thing happened to Donald Trump. He was investigated. He was prosecuted. He was even convicted. But we don't care about his reputational or financial repercussions because, he's Donald Trump. We all hate him, right? He's just a bad, bad man. That's all they're going to say is he's just a bad person. The orange man is bad, right? And this is just something where this really gets my goat, man. I mean, the fact that Biden would pardon people who, first off, haven't been accused of anything, and second off, the fact that these people will be like, yeah, that's a good idea. I like that pardon. Just tells us, which AP talks about as well in this article, but just tells us that what we all thought is true. These people have committed crimes. Now, obviously, they're all alleged. I can't say they've actually committed crimes because they've not been accused. They've not been tried. And now, they never will be. But just like how people take, claiming the fifth to be an admission of guilt for, lack of a better term, nothing you can actually do anything about, but an admission of guilt nonetheless. You could do the same thing with these pardons. I mean, listen, are they actually guilty? I don't know. We'll never know, right? But they've accepted these pardons. They've been pardoned. They're basically saying I plead the fifth. They're basically saying, I sure did something. I don't know what I did. I'm not going to tell you what I did, but I sure did something. And that's where I'm at on this. I mean, these people are all trash people, right? I mean, you got Anthony Fauci, who lied to the American people, who lied to Congress, who did gain-of-function research. He said, no, we didn't do gain-of-function. But then he was like, well, maybe we did gain-of-function. We did all these things that are gain-of-function, but we didn't do gain-of-function. No. It wasn't gain-of-function, even though everything we did there was exactly what you do when you're doing gain-of-function research. We didn't do it. It wasn't gain-of-function. And then you got Mark Milley. Mark Milley he's a fucking bastard. Listen, man, Mark Milley lied to Trump to his face about troops in Syria, lied to Trump about troops overseas, lied to Trump about wars and battles that were taking place. This man, I mean, shit, at this point, if he wasn't pardoned, he would have been tried for treason. And this was something I was talking about not too long ago, honestly, that he should, if this pardon hadn't gotten through, he should have been recalled to the military to be court-martialed. Because in a court-martial, first off, the bar of evidence, the standard is much lower. And second off, the punishment is much more severe. I mean, and that's the easiest way to try him for these things. Obviously now we can't because he's been pardoned, so that can't happen anymore. But it would have been really, really sweet schadenfreude just to watch him squirm, right? And same thing with the January 6th people. I mean, all those Jan 6 committee people were just awful people. I mean, you got Liz Cheney, who's just a freaking rhino. I mean, she is honestly, thank God she lost her re-election bid, but she was literally just a Democrat in, Republican clothing, for lack of a better term, right? She's just an absolute trash person. And all these people just screwed over the American people. Because all these people, you got to think about it, right? These people were put into their position to serve the American people, to do what was right for the American people, to enrich our lives, to protect us in some way or another. And instead they did what they did, right? Fauci lied, people died. Milley lied, people died. Liz Cheney lied, and people killed themselves, because why would you want to listen to her talking, right? Like, it's sickening what these people did. It's worse that Biden decided that it was a good idea to pardon them. And obviously, we know it wasn't Biden, because this is an interesting little tidbit here. A little off topic, but we're going to talk about it, which is that Mike Johnson apparently did a little segment. I believe it was with Benny Johnson. It might have been with Michael Knowles. I can't remember which one it was, but apparently Biden didn't know shit about what he was signing with those executive orders, which, we already knew that. He was just signing. He was just saying, I gotta sign that, right? It was signing there. I gotta sign there. And that was his executive orders, man. I mean, wow. All I can say is I blame everyone who voted for Biden for all these things happening. I blame the economy on everyone who voted for Biden. I blame the Ukraine war for everyone who voted on Biden. I blame the fucking Palestinian war for everyone who voted for Biden, because all those people should be shamed. Those people should be shamed, because Biden was an absolutely fucking failed president. I mean, this shit was bad. This was the worst 4 years that America's probably ever suffered. And so far, for some godforsaken reason, Biden's only the second worst president in U.S. history. The worst, according to Gallup, or Politico, is Richard Nixon, because Watergate is apparently so terrible. But at least the man could speak. At least the man knew what the hell he was doing. Now, yes, he might have been a criminal, but he knew what the hell he was doing. With Biden, he was both a criminal and, according to the Attorney General, too freaking old and stupid to stand trial. So we essentially had a meat puppet as president for 4 years. It was Weekend at Bernie's 4-year edition. So that was a good time. But the nightmare is now over. As of this video, Donald Trump will be president in about 8 minutes. So anyway, from the AP, Biden pardons Fauci, Milley, and the January 6th committee in effort to guard against revenge by Trump, which is so unfortunate. I mean, the Schadenfreude would have been amazing. Now, I don't know if you guys know what Schadenfreude means, but it's really just reveling in someone's suffering, because it's not good to revel in people's suffering, right? But also, they deserve it for what they've done to us. They deserve it for what they did to the American people. This whole thing has just been an absolute disgusting shit show, but whatever. President Joe Biden on Monday pardoned Dr. Anthony Fauci, retired General Mark Milley, and members of the House committee that investigated the January 6th attack on the Capitol, in an extraordinary use of the powers of the presidency in his final hours to guard against potential revenge by the incoming Trump administration. The decision by Biden comes after Donald Trump warned of an enemies list filled with those who have crossed him politically or sought to hold him accountable for his attempt to overturn his 2020 election loss and his role in the storming of the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. Trump has selected cabinet nominees who backed his election lies and who have pledged to punish those who involved in efforts to investigate him. And dear God, I hope they do. I hope Kash Patel just royally fucks everyone in the FBI. I hope they all get fucking fired. I hope we get a whole new FBI, and I hope that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, assuming Vivek's still part of Doge, I've heard rumblings that he might leave, but assuming that Vivek's still part of Doge as well, I hope that they just absolutely ruin all the three-letter agencies. Like, screw off with the defund the police. Defund the ATF, man. Defund the IRS. Defund the FDA and the DHS and all the shits, man. Anyway, the issuance of these pardons should not be mistaken as an acknowledgement that any individual engaged in any wrongdoing, nor should acceptance be misconstrued as an admission of guilt or any offense, Biden said in a statement. Our nation owes these public servants a debt of gratitude for their tireless commitment to our country. The pardons, announced with just hours left in Biden's presidency, have been the subject of heated debate for months at the highest levels of the White House. It's customary for a president to grant clemency at the end of his term, but those acts of mercy are usually offered to Americans who have been convicted of crimes. Trump told NBC the pardons were disgraceful. Biden, a Democrat, has used the power in the broadest and most untested way possible to pardon those who have not even been investigated. His decision lays the groundwork for even more expensive use of pardons by Trump, a Republican, and future presidents. While the Supreme Court last year ruled that presidents enjoy broad immunity from prosecution for what could be considered official acts, the president's aides and allies enjoy no such shield. There is concern that future presidents could use the promise of a blanket pardon to encourage allies to take actions they might otherwise resist for fear of running afoul of the law. Well, like they have done every single time, because it's always been the Democrats, they open yet another can of worms that they're going to regret real soon. They did the same thing with the filibuster in the Senate. They've done the same thing with the pardons. They did the same thing with Obama and the executive orders. So it's just they just keep on fucking everything, man. It's unclear whether those pardoned by Biden would need to apply for the clemency, and acceptance could be seen as a tacit admission of guilt or wrongdoing, validating years of attacks by Trump and his supporters, even though those who have been pardoned have not been formally accused of any crimes. These are exceptional circumstances, and I cannot in good conscience do nothing, Biden said, adding that even when individuals have done nothing wrong, and in fact have done the right thing, and will ultimately be exonerated, the mere fact of being investigated or prosecuted can irreparably damage reputations and finances. That is a wonderful excuse for, honestly, they did it. They probably did it. We'll never know. We're not allowed to know. We're not special enough to know. But, if we're going to pardon people who've, quote-unquote, done the right thing because the investigation and the prosecution may irreparably damage reputations and finances, that tells me we probably got it right. We just don't ever get to know. So, fun stuff. Then they go on to tell us all the bullshit that people did. Don't care. Anyway, so Biden's an ass. Thank God that failure of man is no longer president. And thank God that he will never be president again. And honestly, I really hope and kind of bet Republicans are going to enjoy 12 years of power, because this has been an absolute shit show. Either way, guys, that's all I've got to say about that. Next segment's going to be coming up a little bit later today. Make sure to smash the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you then.